It is the 41st millennium. Mankind battles for survival across the universe, besieged on all fronts by the heretic, the mutant, and the alien. In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. One faction of Space Marines stands amidst the chaos, the mightiest of the Emperor's warriors, and a beacon of light in the darkness. This legion, the 9th Legion of Adeptus Astartes, the Blood Angels. Hello. Please let me know if you can hear me okay. This might be the first time I have streamed. Well, it will be the first time I've done an Armulus show in a little while. So, hello everybody. Welcome. I'm gonna give a second to make sure that you guys can hear me okay. I'm maybe gonna change this webcam border because apparently it's cutting off the top of my head. I do have a new chair this year, so I just need to fix this real quick. How do I do that? Something like this. Nope. Say I've lost me. I'm here. So too many other sources over top, like stopping me editing this. Why can't I edit this? Oh, I guess the top of my head is cut off. Do you know what? The top of my head is cut off. I'll try and figure it out next time. Hello everybody. Cool. Mark Hadley, good evening. Terrence, good evening. Damien, thank you so much for becoming a member. Appreciate it. Todd, evening. Fancy YouTube money chair it is. Yeah, I mean, hopefully it's going to make my back feel a lot better. I've been using a crappy office chair since before I moved in here, so like probably like 7 years. So I finally upgraded from like my $50 office chair. Harrison says he's going to see if Centurion Devastators turn up on the wish list. Yeah. I don't know. I did the video on Centurion Devastators. I do like them. I don't know. I'm not 100% convinced on them. I'm not unconvinced on them. I'm trying to decide what to replace the Repulsor Executioner with in my list. I'm not entirely sure I like the Repulsor Executioner. So I'm struggling with my armor list. Sup, Flaming Doritos, how you doing? You were pretty convinced on the video yesterday. I mean, I'm convinced on their damage output in that they have more reliability in the las cannons, right? And their missiles are pretty great as well against killing infantry. I guess what I'm not convinced on is their 4-inch movement. So you need to have ways to get them around the board. I'm not convinced on the Redeemer either, because the problem with the Redeemer, I think, is the main cannon used to be really good. Now it does. I feel like I still want something that kills armor, but I'm not 100% sure. Right, like part of me's thinking like I could run 6 plasma inceptors. That's the same amount of price as a repulsor executioner. Plasma inceptors are very meta. Lots of people are running them in tournament play. I'm not running them. Just give me 1 second, sorry. Yeah, so I need to figure out what the best fire support vehicle is for 220 points. But I want it to be able to kill tanks. I think that's one of my main things. So, but yeah, see, the balance data slate is coming out apparently at the end of the month. So, like in the next 2 weeks. So it's really going to be difficult. I'm actually going to struggle a little bit to make a tactics video this week, actually, because I guess balance data slate's coming out. Points are all going to change. Anything I say potentially gets made redundant in like a week. Well, if I make the video, start making the video tomorrow, which is my plan, and release it on Friday, which is like the 19th, the balance data slate will either come out on that weekend or the weekend after. DTM says don't underestimate the Redeemer's flame cannons. They do more damage to something like a Vindicator in cover than 4 las cannon shots do on average. Really? How many shots do they get? D6, right? So it's 7 shots, wounding on 5s. AP minus 2? I have thought, like, people always want me to run a Redeemer. It's the points, man. D6 plus 3. Okay, so an average of 13 shots, wounding on 5s. I guess that's why some people say take the Thunderstrike if you're running the Redeemer. I guess that makes the Redeemer a hell of a lot better, the Thunderstrike, right? I suppose it probably helped against all its other weapons too. Because the Redeemer has what? Twin Assault Cannon, well that gets help from a +1 to wound. Multi-melt and a Stormbolter. I mean, 6 shots from the Twin Assault Cannon is pretty crappy, isn't it? So, like, on average, it does 1 mortal wound. Yeah, the average of a D6 is 3.5. So, D6 plus 3 is an average of 6.5, so that would be 13. 13 auto hits from the Redeemer. And I guess the cool thing about it is ignores cover, torrent. And I guess if you're in Devastator Doctrine, you can give it 1 more point of AP as well with what's that strat? Storm of Fire will give it more AP as well. And you can't underestimate how much you can shut down infantry movement with Overwatch. Yeah. Maybe I'll have to suck it up and just run a Redeemer. I mean, I could probably make it work. I'll have a look. Okay. I mean, I haven't run the Redeemer. People were saying it's like T-Ray. I guess maybe I should just run it. Alright, let's jump into other people's lists. Hopefully my thought was tonight to get some inspiration from some of these lists so I can make a change to my list. I'm playing Chaos Knights on Wednesday. So really, Double Flamer is not going to be that useful against Chaos Knights because Chaos Knights are all going to be like T10. So I mean, I've got a Thunderstrike, and when I ran the Thunderstrike, I did genuinely like it. I do think it's a pretty good model. Okay, Justin says, let's get into his list, and then we'll talk about what he said afterwards. That's how I like to do it. He has Dante, Lamartez, and Lieutenant with the combi weapon. He has 3 Ballistus Dreadnoughts. I did actually think about double Ballistus Dreadnought. I think I was thinking double Ballistus Dreadnought and 1,000-point list would actually be pretty good because they're so cheap and it gives you some really good anti-tank firepower for the points. He's got a 10-man Death Company Infernal Pistols and Jump. He's got a 5-man Death Company Plasma Pistols and Power Fists. Another 5-man Plasma Pistols and Power Fists. Scouts ×2. Vanguard Veterans a 10 and a 5. And then Whirlwind ×2. And then the Inquisitorial Henchmen, who will be Action Monkeys for 40 points. And he says, I don't know when you're doing a list breakdown. Here's a list I think I'm running. Lieutenant with Combi Bolters here for the +1 to wound because I don't have a nameless chappy. He doesn't give +1 to wound, right? He gives reroll 1s to wound. Dante is here for the +1 to hit and advance. He's +1 to hit and advance charge. He doesn't Oh, +1 to hit and +1 to advance and charge, sure. I honestly might drop in and put the Sanguiner over him. Running in Gladius, I honestly can't decide if I want to run the list as Gladius or Sons of Sanguinius, but hopefully soon I can make up my mind. All in all, I think it's got enough chaff, punch, and anti-infantry, and the Ballista Dreadnoughts for anti-vehicle. Of course, the henchmen are chilling on my backfield objective during the game. Hope that explains the process. Would this be better in Gladius or Sons of Sanguinius? Melee-wise, you've got 15 Death Company attacks. No, 20 Death Company Power Fists. I mean, 20 extra attacks is nice, I guess, from Sons of Sanguinius. Ballistus Dreadnoughts don't get all that much from Sons of Sanguinius, except from Gladius, except maybe potentially fall back and shoot, which is pretty useful. Or advance and shoot, which is also pretty useful. The Scouts are a very good unit right now. Vanguard Veterans with Storm Shields, who are probably attached by Commander Dante. Fine, give them +1 to hit. Their strength 5. I don't think the +1 to strength makes all that much difference from Sons of Sanguinius again. So Gladius might be better here just because you would get advance and charge or fall back and charge. A couple of whirlwinds. It's interesting. Does anyone have luck killing with assault cannons? I think assault cannons look terrible on paper, and having used them killer, I don't think they're very good at all. The Land Raider Redeemer is very good. It can carry the Aggressor Brick too. Yeah, I suppose the cool thing about the Aggressor Brick is the Land Raider Redeemer carries 7 of them plus the Biologist, right? I mean, that is very cool. No chaplains for the Death Company hurts them so bad. Yeah, I hadn't even noticed that. You know, like when I was trying to save points on my list, there's not much I can save points on to fit in a Land Raider Redeemer. And the chaplain on one of my 5-man Death Companies was the only potential. Yeah, I missed my 24 shot Gladiator Reaper as well. I think the Gladiator Reaper was really good when it was 24 shots, and it had AP, right? And the Bolters had AP as well. Death Company benefit a lot from the chaplain because of +1 to wound. Like, it's huge how much they benefit from that, and I think they benefit from that. Like, I think Death Company led by a chaplain in Gladius are better than Death Company unled in Sons of Sanguinius. But then they are more expensive with the chaplain. But I think the +1 to wound from the chaplain is what makes them really strong. Like, I don't think Death Company's Power Fists are strong, even if they're strength 9 from Sons of Sanguinius and they have an extra attack. I think I'd rather have +1 to wound than an extra strength and an extra attack. Yeah, I feel like assault cannons do like 2 dev wounds the whole game, and that's about it. So I like 3 Ballistus Dreadnoughts. I'm not sure I care all that much about double Whirlwind. I don't run Whirlwinds anymore. I think the best thing that they did was turn off Overwatch and make people fight last. They don't do either of those things now. The cannon is a little bit better. Probably if you want to use them effectively, you have to run double of them because one of them isn't going to kill all that much. I don't necessarily like 10-man jump units personally. I think that's I think they're difficult to hide. I think they're difficult to get everybody in combat. I think they're difficult to consolidate into or consolidate with. So 10-man jump units are not my favorite right now, but I mean, if that's what you want to run, go for it. I think my feedback is you need a chaplain, because otherwise all your Death Company are OC0, which is rubbish. Oh, sorry, you do have Lamartes. Okay, so well, 5 Death Company moving around, as long as they're hanging within 12 of Lamartes, is maybe not the end of the world. I'm not sure I rate Vanguard Veterans. 105 points for 5 Storm Shields. They get 4 Strength 5, 1 damage attacks. Does anyone in chat really rate Vanguard Veterans this edition? Like, is anyone putting them into every list that they're running and going, like, tell them, even if you're running them like in a 5 or a 10 or with a character or with pistols, like, someone in chat tell me, does anyone run Van Vets? Because I just don't. I just run 5-man Death Company for 130 points, all Infernal Pistols, all Power Fists. Dante, I think, is not as good as just a regular captain with a jump pack, and there's a couple of reasons for that. The captain with a jump pack gets you the free stratagem every turn, and he also gets you +1 strength. So your Vanguard Veterans in Sons of Sanguinius would go from strength 5 to strength 7, because they get +1 from Sons of Sanguinius, +1 from the captain. And I think strength 7 is good. Like, Vanguard Veterans with strength 7 seems okay. A lot of people have been running them with the Sangre Priest. I think it's decent if you put the captain on the Sangre Priest. You don't think it's too expensive? Like 210. I was going to say I don't know the cost of a captain with a jump back and a Sangre Priest off the top of my head. But I suppose that is very durable. Is this not... Oh. This is just regular Space Marines. I want Blood Angels. Captain of the jump pack is 85, so it would be 210 plus 85, so that's 295 plus the Sangre Priest with a jump pack is 90. 375? 375 for 10 guys, 5 up Feel No Pain, 4 up in Fun. And I guess you're getting 40. Strength 7, -2, 1 damage potentially. Jeff says that, yeah, the 10 Vanguard Vets. So this is an interesting list. I don't know what's better for this list. Sons of Sanguinius or Gladius. It feels like it possibly has a slight edge towards Sons of Sanguinius, but I don't think Dante's a great choice. Yeah, I think if this was me, I'd probably swap Dante out for the captain, the lieutenant out for the jump pack, Sangre Priest, and then put them with the 10 Van Vets. And then you've got Lamartus plus 10 Death Company. You've got the captain, Sangre Priest, the Van Vets plus 10. 2 Whirlwinds, 3 Ballistus Dreadnoughts, a couple of squads of Scouts. A couple more squads of Death Company and another squad of Vanguard Vets to try and chew some things up. And then the Henchman. I mean, it's not bad. I just personally don't run 10-man units at the moment. They are vulnerable to blast. Be that what you will, I guess, of it. And they are they are difficult to get where you want them to be and get them all obscured. So with the captain strength it's strength 7 in Sons of Sanguinius, and it's a free Armor of Contempt every turn. I never thought about the free Armor of Contempt every turn, I guess. Dante's Battle Shock and Heroic Challenge is clutch. You really think so? I thought Dante's Battle Shock rule was kind of trash. You just make them make a Battle Shock test with -1? I don't run much at the moment, says Boone Biscuits, but I was running 10 Vanguard Vets with Shields and Sangre Priest for a bit at the start of 10th. And how did you like it? Because I ran it a couple of times and I wasn't a hugest fan. But then maybe I just didn't like 10-man jump units. Okay. Yeah, I think I'd probably run that in Sons of Sanguinius. I guess maybe this week. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan. Like, I was gonna say maybe this week I need to play Dante again. In the games I've played, I've always felt he's a bit underwhelming. Okay, but maybe I could try him. I'll try him again. I just don't know if I rate him. I mean, I just think the captain, because of the free stratagem, makes him better than Dante. Okay, next list. It's Magic. A 2,000 point 10th edition list. It is the Gladius detachment. Has Lamartis and the Sanguinor. It has an apothecary biologist captain with Gravis armor with the fire discipline. Then we'd have the 6 aggressors. That makes sense. We've got the 3 centurions. That makes sense. Missiles and twin las cannons. We've got the 10 jump marines with infernal pistols and power fists. Sorry, 10 death company rather. Squad of infiltrators. Squad of scouts. A Baal predator. A librarian dreadnought. A redemptor dreadnought. A vindicator tank. And a Calidus assassin. Interesting. This isn't a million miles from what I've got, right? Because I've got the apothecary, the chaplain, the aggressors, the devastators, and then I've got 10 death company across 2 squads rather than just 1, and I've got 2 chaplains instead of Lamartis and Sanguinor. I've also got the scouts, I've also got the librarian dreadnought, I've also got the vindicator, I've also got the Calidus assassin. So rather than my second vindicator, he has a redemptor dreadnought. Rather than my executioner, he has a Baal predator, which I did think about, like Baal predator or regular predator, and rather than the heavy intercessors, he has the infiltrator squad. So you can see like small iterations on a similar style Gladius list to what I'm running. And I guess this was exactly what I was sort of looking for, because I was like, can I make changes to my Gladius list? Am I willing to make changes? What changes could I make? I suppose if I was desperate to save points, I could throw the Death Company into one 10-man squad, have them led by like Lamartis instead of a chaplain, and that would actually save like a chaplain 70, Lamartis is 110, so that would save 40. Would it? Because I'd be able to drop one chaplain. No, that would save 30. So if I run Lamartis and didn't run and just run a 10-man death company, I would be able to almost, I'd be 10 points away from being able to get that executioner dropped in Land Raider Redeemer in. Interesting. I do like the Baal Predator. I think it's Centurion Devastator. Like, at what point, I guess the question is, do you have enough heavy anti-tank firepower? Because, like, this week against Colin, right, he had 3 Predators, 2 Rhinos, and a Land Raider. That felt like a lot of armor. If we just broke that down to, like, wounds. So each Predator is, like, 11 wounds. So that's 33 wounds. The Land Raider is 16. So it's like 49 wounds, and then 2 Rhinos is another 20. So he had like 69 wounds of what I would class as like heavy armor. So and he's running, Colin was running that like combined arms Death Guard list, which I actually thought was really good. I don't know if you guys all watched the game against Death Guard, but I thought that was one of the strongest lists he's ever played. And I struggled. Obviously, I got beat as well. It's 69 points of 69 wounds worth of heavy armor in his list. You know, so how many points of your army are you willing to put into anti-tank ranged firepower to deal with their 69 points of wounds? You know, like when I look at it, like I think, like, well, my Centurions, they're probably good for maybe like 10 wounds a turn. You know, they've got 3 twin-linked las cannons. They've got those missile launchers. Probably like 1 or 2 las cannons can get through, and a couple of missiles can get through. So they're probably good for like 10 wounds a turn. I know Vindicator's usually typically good to do like 10 wounds a turn, and it gets like d6 plus 3 shots. So you probably average like 5 or 6 shots. Each one does d6 damage, 2 or 3 sneak through, again, probably good for 10 damage a turn. But is that enough to deal with heavy armor? Like a Vindicator and Centurion Devastators? My gut tells me it's not. Yeah, I think Death Guard are crazy good into Blood Angels right now. The -1 to your save and the -1 to your toughness pretty much for the whole game is just very, very difficult to deal with. I mean, I actually should have won that game. I completely threw the game, right? The Death Company movement in turn 2, where I left them in cover rather than obscured, through that game. If I'd put them in obscured position, that game was mine, probably win it by like 10-15 points. So it was a complete fuck up on my part. But I did feel like my Executioner really let me down. Didn't do very much in that game at all. Basically, you need to feel comfortable in the matchups as DTM. Well, I feel like I don't feel comfortable with this list, right? Like, I don't feel comfortable that my fire support is a Vindicator, which Colin did mention has very short range, 24 inches, and 1 squad of Centurion Devastators. Maybe 2 squads of Centurion Devastators and a Vindicator I'd be happy with. And I guess that's where my dilemma sits, in that I've got 2 Vindicators and I'm just not quite there with my list. I'm not quite happy. So what would I change in this list? Well, I think it needs something else fire support. And I don't think I think I would have to like drop the Redemptor Dreadnought, take another squad of Centurions, drop the Redemptor Dreadnought, take a Ballistus Dreadnought, take a Predator Annihilator. I actually think I prefer the Predator Annihilator to the Gladiator Lancer, purely because the number of shots. I mean, you could argue, same as you guys were saying, like this list here, the Ball Predator and the Redemptor Dreadnought could disappear and be replaced with a Land Raider Redeemer. That's 260. So you would have 75 points left over. You could have another squad of Scouts. You could have a squad of Eliminators. I don't know what else is good for 75 points. If you only had 75 points left in your list, what would you throw into it? I was honestly half tempted to see how many points of Fire Strike Turret was for my list. Because I was like, could I drop something and just have a Fire Strike Turret? Not that we friggin' see them ever, but they are 75 points. If you've got 75 points left and you just wanted to have 2 strength 10 las cannons, essentially, with BS2 up. How many points does Cotias cause now? Do you know what? I haven't spent enough time looking at the Assassins or the Inquisition this edition. Probably, maybe I need to do a video about that. Points win game, not necessarily killing power. Yeah, I know. Just I found that Death Guard list this week very difficult. Clint says he did an Executioner, a Land Raider Crusader, and a Ball Predator, and 2 squads of Eradicators, and that felt like a strong base. That seems like a lot of fire support. That's like 220, 460, 600, 800. Yeah, that's probably what my last list had. 900 points. Not many people run the Invictus Tactical Warsuit, and I don't think it's a good anti-vehicle option at all. So yeah, I think this list is totally playable, this one here. What did he say? It's Magic says, this is a list for the tournament I've got on the 21st. I'm kind of restricted to what I have, but here we go. Redemptor and Vindicator will roll together. Death Company, where aggressors will team up often. And this center objective will be a shooting gallery, hopefully after an enemy flank is wiped. I'm quite new. I've only had 15 games. I change my list all the time and try new things. I don't know what the future holds, but I hope the balance in Jan will help us out and bring in more Blood Angels characters. Dante and Mephisto are twitching in excitement to get chopping in. I think that It's Magic literally echoes how everybody's feeling about the Blood Angels at the moment. Yeah, I mean, I think this is a cool list. I think it should do okay. The teleporting aggressors with the biologists and the fire discipline are hugely useful. Calidus Assassin is great. Vindicator is great. Centurion Devastators, again, teleporting, are great. Death Company plus Lamartes are great. It's like, there's only like 3 differences between this and the current list that I'm running. And my list came from playing like 20 games and then going to a tournament with it and making tweaks. And I'm still like 1 unit. So assuming that I can't figure out my last unit, this list is like 80% similar to my list. I think it could go great. I'm going to try and release a video tomorrow about how I played my list against the 350 guardsmen, because I did have to play against a list that had like 350 guardsmen. It's funny when I put the list on the screen in the video, because I filmed it now, it's like 3 pages long of just like 20 chaff models, 20 chaff models, 20 chaff models. It's ridiculous. So maybe I'll try and get that up this week. It's Magic. You can watch it. And I guess if you come up against some sort of horde nonsense, you can try and play similarly to what I managed to do. Yeah, I don't think this is a bad list at all. I was personally thinking as well, like my list would be better with 1 more scoring unit, like 1 more unit of scouts, 1 more unit of what are the dropping down guys called? The Inceptors. So there could be something to be said about that. But I guess the one thing that I probably don't rate is the Redemptor Dreadnought. But I haven't. Anyone in chat using Redemptor Dreadnoughts quite often? Terrence, thank you so much for the gifted membership. I appreciate it. I did take quite a long holiday. I was saying on my stream last night, the Heavy Intercessor's looking great, by the way. I looked at them today after painting them. So on my stream last night, I did take quite a long holiday this year. Like, didn't start again making content until like the 8th of January. So I really appreciate you guys are still here and appreciate the support. So thank you so much. Yeah, I'm excited for a balanced data slate as well. It would be really nice to see further drops to Mephisto and Dante and try and see them back on the table, wouldn't it? It's a good feeling when you wake up and look at your models and you say, damn, they look nice. Yeah, it's like when you're painting them and waiting for them to dry or whatnot, you're never really sure. You enjoy the Redemptor and the Iron Hands detachment? True. I haven't really played the Iron Hands detachment yet. I'm convinced that I can win a GT with the Gladius detachment, I think. Or I feel like the Gladius detachment is maybe the best chance I've had to win a GT in a while, and I just really want to keep doubling down on it and try and do it. Okay, Shadow Knights 222 is our 3rd list for tonight, and he is also in Gladius, also running a biologist, but he's got Dante, Lamartes, the Sanguinary Priest, and the Sangor. Quite a lot of characters here. 5 characters, I guess. Maybe it's not as much as I thought. It's like 230, 340, 460 plus 85. 545. It is quite a bit of characters. 545 points of characters. I was going to say we don't typically see that much. Like the last list we looked at had like 2 characters, 250. So this might be edging on the side of like too many characters. Last edition I used to say 3 characters should kind of be your limit. Maybe pushing 4. I haven't really decided on this, but I don't know if I see 5 characters all that often. Alright, we've got 5 aggressors with the Bolt Storm, or 6 aggressors, sorry, can't count. We have a Centurion Assault Squad, and it's 6 Centurions. We have the Death Company Marines with the jump packs. We have the Inceptors, times 2, this is what I was saying, double Inceptors with plasmas. I didn't realise when they first came out, obviously I know now, but the Inceptors this edition are 3 damage on those overcharged plasmas. So that's again why I think if you had a Thunder Strike, they could be very good. You only get 2 shots per guy. They are twin linked. If you had +1 to wound, they could be very deadly in the fact that they're 3 damage per shot now. And also it's impossible to screen Inceptors, right? Because they drop 3 inches away. So if you've got them in 2 squads of 3, you can literally Oath of Moment a target, drop both squads in an obnoxious place. If you manage to hit that squad or that unit with a Thunder Strike, that could be very good as well. Redemptor seemed good, says Foz, but the rule of 2+ still feel like it applies, with especially how strong with the Tech Marine they are now. Yeah, I actually dropped all my Tech Marines because Tech Marines are actually much harder to play now, right? Because the repairing comes before they've moved. So you have to preempt where the damage is going to be and then have the Tech Marine preemptively in the right spot, which I actually found much, much more difficult to play. Centurions, right? This is your list, Terrence, is it? We've got the Scout Squad, the Vanguard Veteran Squad with the jump packs, and a Vindicator. Haven't posted a list in a while. I haven't been getting many games, but since I've refined my list a couple of times, while I haven't lost yet, I noticed that what elements really did make an impact. I honestly think this is a very solid list. Dante actually hits pretty hard, and I have him use Heroic Challenge and Annoying Character abilities. Okay, the Vanguard Veterans with Sanguinary Priest and Shields make them really tacky. I guess that means like sticky, difficult to kill. 4 up Invulnerable Save, 5 up Feel No Pain, and having extra AP, they hit pretty hard with lethal hits. Death Company of the Lord Mortis makes them harder to shift as well. I can guarantee they will make it into their first charge and take out a big target, and if they get ignored for a turn, they will jump and take out another unit. Aggressors of Storm of Fire, cheat code, yeah, I mean Storm of Fire is insane. 2 Inceptors to threaten the backline and score, Centurions to hold the middle, Overwatch Chaff and countercharge monsters and vehicles to be midboard. The Sanguine are actually countercharges and another source of character buff, though minor actually countercharges and is. Yeah, Centurions is out, Redeemer is slow. Thanks so much. You can just type, dude. You don't need to always give me $2, but thank you so much. The command phase made the healing worthless. Yeah, it's not worthless, it's just really hard to predict. And then if the opponent's smart, they're just gonna shoot the vehicle that's not next to Tech Marine, right? You can try the Firestorm detachment, advance and shoot Vindicator, Centurion Devastators all game long, and play Crucible of Battle whenever you drop your Inceptors. I'm gonna have to ask you to remind me what Crucible of Battle is. The fire, is that the one that's like +1 to wound if you're within 6? Oh, it is, isn't it? Use this in the shooting phase or the fight phase. Yeah, +1 to wound. Interesting. Interesting. I haven't played the Firestorm detachment yet. Might be fun to make a list for another detachment. Maybe I need to do one more tournament and then we'll change that out. So, Terrence has ruled out the Centurions and replaced them with a Land Raider. That seems good. I mean, 300 points of Centurions get placed by 260 points Land Raider Redeemer. There is something very cool about just parking a Toughness 12 Land Raider in the center of the board. Maybe that's why I need to do it as well, right? If it. I'm gonna tweak my list. I'm gonna lose something this week. I'm gonna get in a Land Raider Redeemer. Even if it's not an optimal matchup, I guess. That's actually gonna be a really... Here's the thing though, right? A Redeemer's 260 points. I'm playing Chaos Knights this week. Chaos Knights have Strength 12 minus 5 Meltaguns. Minus 5? Why did the Land Raider not have an invuln? It's so annoying. At least in the last edition, we used to be able to cast Shield of Sanguinius and give vehicles that should have an invuln. It's so stupid to have like a Land Raider get hit with minus 5 and all of a sudden be like, okay, my Land Raider doesn't even get a save against a Meltagun. Maybe that's one of the reasons I don't play it. But yes, okay. I do like the Redeemer, I think. Is the Redeemer better than... It's better for Overwatch, I guess. Because it's going to average 13, Strength 6, minus 2, 2-up saves. Armor of Contempt plus cover will give it a 5-up save. Yeah, I mean, I guess it'll give it a 5-up save, but still. You're having to spend a CP, which I don't... I mean, like, I think a Land Raider should probably have a built-in 5-up in one save. It's a bit silly it doesn't have one. Yeah, I mean, the Apothecary with the Aggressors is brilliant. Death Company with Lamartez is really good. Double Plasma Inceptors, like we just said, is really good as well. Scouts are a top tier unit. The Vanguard Veterans with the Sanguinary Priest gives them quite a lot of sticking power. I do think a Captain is possibly better than Dante, but if you want to use Dante and go after some targets with his lethal hits and stuff, I mean, it's not the end of the world. If Dante had a 3 damage weapon, I might have been on board with that. I think he's Strength 7 minus 3. If he'd been Strength 7 minus 3, 3 damage, then I think I could have been really on board with that. Maybe he'll get 3 damage when our Codex comes out. He still hits 8 attacks on lethal, so you're probably going to hit like a couple of lethals here pretty much every round of combat. It's not terrible, right? His pistol's very swingy as well. I mean, sometimes it'll do great. I guess when you swap out the Centurions, you probably got enough points for like some henchmen or something like that. I don't think there's much else you can fit in there, Terrence. But for the most part, I think I like your list. I think I'm a little bit concerned about 5 characters. And maybe that's the only thing I'm a little bit worried about is like maybe one other unit that can hold things. You know, like if the Centurions is gone for a Land Raider Redeemer. Redeemer, sorry, I spelled it wrong. And you've got 40 points left over. The only thing I can think of is like the Sanguiner could go, and then you have 180 points left over. 180 points is Heavy Intercessors, which I swear by. I think they're super good. 40 points can indeed be Henchmen, but that could be Heavy Intercessors and then 75 points for something else. The other thing, I suppose, is if you lose the Sanguiner, you could get 90 points for the Calidus Assassin. I think the Calidus Assassin is really good. I actually ordered one just this week. I'd been holding off. I don't know why I'd been holding off buying a Calidus Assassin, but I'm going to show you the one that I found on eBay this week because I think it's cool as shit. And it was like super cheap. But then I don't play it. I don't play it like Games Workshop events, all that, like ever, I guess. So found this guy on eBay for £6. He is the Imperial Inquisition Shape Assassin Proxy, Holy Order Sisters 42k compatible. So $6. More than 10 available. That'll look cool. So I'm going to finally have a Paladin Assassin. Being able to mess with your opponent's stratagems was pretty cool. She fights first. She's lone operative. That's the one that Miles uses. Yeah, in terms, it is indeed the one that Miles uses. I actually linked it to Miles and was like, is this the one that you use? Yeah, it is indeed. So maybe I make a couple of changes here around the Sanguinor. But hey, if you love the Sanguinor and you think he's really valuable, I think for me, if they drop the Sanguinor in this balance state slate to like 120 points, I think I'm going to try and get him in to my list. I think he's too expensive at 140. If you think like an Armiger is 145 or something, like an Armiger would just eat him for breakfast every day of the week. I don't know if his heroic intervention justifies the 140 points he is. But overall, I think it's an okay list. I think I'm with you in that, like, I think probably you can't run Centurions unless you have them inside a transport. So that means you need a Land Raider or a Repulsor. Or you have a Library of Dreadnought to teleport them around. Like, they're just too slow to work, I guess, in my opinion. They just don't. 4 inches of move is tragic. Play a game or two and you'll realize very quickly that 4 inches of move means, like, they just don't go anywhere. Like, I'm trying to, like, this week against the Death Guard, I was actually trying to make some charges with my Centurion Devastators just to get them further forward. And then I'll pay 1 CP in the future turn to, like, fall back and shoot because Centurion Devastators equals Librarian Dread, Firestorm for Perma Advance, Transport, or Vanguard for the redeploy. Yeah, I mean, they're super good in Vanguard, right? And I guess that's what a bunch of top players are running as well. I found when I had 3 Assault Centurions inside, because I ran them inside a Repulsor a bunch of times, I found that was really good. I also had 3 Blade Guard inside my Repulsor. I found that was really good as well. Do you know what? I'm a little bit sad now that I mention it that I don't have the Blade Guard, because the Blade Guard always scored me points. I gotta drop something though. I'm gonna have to make a tweak into my list this week. I'm not entirely sure what it is. But I think I'm gonna drop the Executioner. I think I've gone off. Well, I have a Gladiator Lancer, and I ran the Ballistus Dreadnought over it. I think I don't like units that only get 2 shots. Because having played units that only get 2 shots in multiple battles now, there's often times where 2 shots just means like 1 hits, 1 misses. Alright, now I'm down to 1 shot. And then it's 50-50 if you even wound at that point, potentially, and then it's like, meh, you know, 160 point tank didn't even make a single wound. Yeah, you can fit 3 Assault Centurions and 3 Blade Guard inside a Land Raider or Land Raider Redeemer. I was running them inside a Repulsor because the Repulsor was cheapest DTM at 190 points. I thought that was good. I know the Repulsor has the worst save, but it's still toughness 12, right? Typically, if you're gonna fail saves on a 2-up Land Raider, you're probably gonna fail saves on a 3-up Repulsor as well, maybe. Yeah. Okay. What did she? Yeah, no, I read everything that you said, Terrence. Thank you so much for the list, Terrence. Thank you for the membership as well. Much appreciated. I think your final 40 points have to be henchmen. I do like Double Inceptor. I like the Vindicator. I need to try Vanguard Veterans with jump packs and the Sanguinary Priest again. Try the 10-man squad. I'm just so scared of running 10-man squads, especially if you go to a tournament and you come into another Space Marine player. And that other Space Marine player, like when I was at the event recently, there was another Space Marine player who was Dark Angels, and he was running Dark Angels and Gladius. And of course he's got aggressors. So if you have those 10-man squads, I wouldn't even like to do the math on how those 10-man squads stand up against a Gladius bombardment, because I bet they don't stand up pretty well at all. If you run 2x5 of the jump priest in each, would that be over-investing? It's a tough one. I mean, in my current list, I run 2 5-mans with a chaplain in both of them, Death Company. And it feels good, but it does increase the points quite a lot, if that makes sense. You know, like, the Death Company is 130 points, the chaplain is 70, so he's literally 50% of the points cost again. Well, actually more, because 50 would be 65 points, right? Alright, we have the final list for today, which is from Killer, who was in the chat. He has gone quiet, so he's either left the stream now or... yeah. Oh, right as I said that, you said hello. Hi, hey, Killer. Okay, so we have a list that's going to knock your socks off. Probably due to all the strange choices I've included. Okay. Okay, and there's a Sons of Sanguinius list, so that'll be good. We have an Ancient and Terminator armor with Visage of Death and a Thunderhammer. We have a Captain with a jump pack with the Plasma Pistol and a Relic Weapon. We have a Chaplain with a jump pack with an Infernal Pistol, and we have a Chaplain with a jump pack with an a Power Fist. We have one squad of Intercessors, so we'll be doing some sticky objectives. We have 5 Death Company, Infernal Power. We have another 5, and I assume both of them attached to the 2 different chaplains. That's fine, that's exactly what I'm running. We do actually have 5 Sanguinary Guard, all with Angelus bolt guns. One guy who has a Power Fist. I feel like they may be attached to the Warlord Captain, but I'm not entirely sure. We have a Terminator Assault Squad, 5 of them, who will obviously probably attach to the Terminator in Ancient Armor. I actually have no idea what buffs a Terminator with Ancient Armor gives to a Terminator squad. Let me just pull that up. Because I honestly don't remember. It's not something I've run. 2 Vanguard Veterans 5-mans with the Storm Shields. A Furioso Dreadnought, a Librarian Dreadnought, a Stormraven Gunship. Cool. Double Hurricane Bolter, Twin Las Cannon, Typhoon Missile Launcher. I think you're missing a weapon as well. Oh, Wikipedia is not working. Oh, he gives the Terminators +1 to objective control, and yes, if they are below starting strength, they add 1 to their hit. If they're below half strength, they add 1 to their wound. Okay, that's interesting. I mean, that would be much better with a 10-man squad, but I guess it's fine on a 5. Stormraven Gunship, 240 points. Did that not load? Stormraven Gunship. I think Wikipedia is really dying at the moment. Trying to think. You get the missiles on the wings. You get the pinnacle mounted twin multi-melta. You get the twin las cannons on top. Then you get the Hurricane Bolters. I think you are missing one weapon. And then you've got the Vindicator, obviously, Hunter Killer Storm Bolter. Come on. Stormraven Gunship. Tell me about it. You are... Unless it's the default, right? This model's Typhoon Missile Launcher. Alright, so you get the Typhoon Missile Launcher, you get the Twin Las Cannon, you get the Hurricane Bolter. Sorry, the default is the 2 Storm Strike missiles. Okay, so you just haven't written them down because that's the default. It's a bit rubbish that you only get 2 shots, but it is what it is, I guess. Okay, I had been looking at the Storm Raven Gunship. Just because obviously you can put a Dreadnought inside it. And no one's running flyers, and not everybody can deal with flyers. They are 0 OC, but I mean, they do give you 240 points. How many shots does the Hurricane Bolter get? It's going to be like 24, right? If you're within 12 inches. Yes, twin-linked rapid fire. Okay. Oh no, it's 12 shots, sorry. Oh no, it's 24. It's 24. But 24 at 12. It's 24 twin linked. I mean, that's not too bad, 24 twin linked. Twin Laws Cannon. The Typhoon missile launcher is like crack missile, right? Strength 9 minus 2 d6. I mean, I'd probably replace the Typhoon missile launcher with the multi-melta. Just because it's got a lot more AP, and it's got that melta 2. You're probably going to want to be in close anyway to get those bonus from the Hunter Killer. From the Hurricane Bolters. Okay, and you're probably going to be in close because you're probably going to want to drop a Dreadnought off. You've got Furioso Dreadnought, right? I assume the Furioso Dreadnought's probably going to be inside the Storm Raven. I'd probably prefer to put a Death Company Dreadnought inside it, but Furioso works with the point cost you've got, right? Storm Raven is pretty good, but you should probably hover. The -1 damage is nice. Yeah, I mean, Storm Raven is pretty nice in terms of its T10 -1 damage, right? T10, 14 wounds. So in between like a Gladiator or a Dreadnought and a Land Raider. So it's not bad. It's definitely got some survivability now. You can Armor of Contempt it every time it's shot as well to ignore one AP. My plan here is to have the Vanguard veterans run about and do things while being relatively tanky with their strong shields. I'm not sure I reckon that T4 Marines are ever relatively tanky anymore, but I get what you're saying. Terminators and Ancients are meant to take OC from units on objectives and generally try and tank for a little bit. Librarian Dreadnought for the home mid objective while slingshotting some units up there. You don't have that many useful units to teleport around. Maybe a little bit. The thing about the teleporting is it works best with shooting units, but I guess this is a Sons of Sanguinius detachment, so it is what it is. Death Company and Chaplains have hammers to kill. Vindicator is the major anti-tank. Maybe the Furioso could slap vehicles as well. Yeah, a single Vindicator is anti-tank. I don't know if I rate is enough. Here's the big play though. The Storm Raven, Jump Chaplain, Sanguinary Guard, and Furioso Dread are inside this giant target. It's 500 points exactly, so I could put her in reserve. Start in hover or aircraft. I'll be waiting until January for the points releases, but I want to buy a Storm Raven anyhow. I mean, the Storm Raven's cool. It gives you a nice big centerpiece for your army. It's probably the biggest unit that we can have right now that they've legendsed all the Forge Road stuff, right? I've got a Storm Raven half painted. Good evening, Aradine. How you doing? You know, I was thinking about trying the Storm Raven. Just because you can put a Dreadnought inside it, which is interesting. But, yeah, I think this list will hopefully benefit a bit from some points drops in January, because I think Assault Terminators, I think they probably don't do all that much damage because the Thunderhammers probably end up wounding on 5s most of the time. Oh yeah, the Astraeus is bigger, sure. Good point, Marius. Not many people own an Astraeus though. I guess non-Forge Road stuff. I just assume that all the Forge Road stuff, because I have 3 super heavy tanks, Marius, and all 3 of them are now legends, which is like so frustrating. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think the Ancient with the Terminators is actually not a bad shout to try and make them a little bit more killy. I think Double Chaplain with the 5-man Death Companies is a good way to go. I do like sticky objective intercessors who you can teleport around. There is definitely value in that. Vindicator on its own is good. Furioso is decent. I think the Death Company Dreadnought is better than the Furioso. It's probably points that you chose the Furioso, right? But like, I just want to look at them. Death Company Dreadnought, Furioso Dreadnought. Vanguard Veterans, sure, they can do actions, they can score things. And then you've got the Captain with the Sanguinary Guard. Okay, let's hope Sanguinary Guard get like a points drop. They probably can come down 20-25 points. You know what? When they drop this, here's my suggestion. When they drop the Sangre Guards points in January, because I can't see any reason that they won't drop them, because literally no one is running them, and they're our most iconic unit. Then you can probably use that to get. That'll probably give you the 15 points you need to take the Death Company Dreadnought instead of the Furioso. You already got 2 chaplains in your list, so the Death Company Dreadnought can probably be within 12 inches of the chaplain, so it still gets its OC. Death Company Dreadnought gets to reroll all its hits. It's got 6 at Feel No Pain. It gets +2 against charge against monsters and vehicles. And you probably want to just have it with the Furioso Fists. So it's 5 attacks. It would be 6 attacks in Sins of Sanguinius. Strength 12, -3, 3. But you're rerolling all hits and all wounds because it's twin-linked. And if your opponent fights you back and doesn't kill you, you get to fight them again because of Frenzied Reprisal. So potentially you're looking at, for the most of the time, you're going to get 12 attacks. Rerolling all hits and wounds. Strength 12, -3, 3 damage. The Furioso is going to do up to 3 mortal wounds when it fights, but you're going to get half as many attacks. You're not going to have that Feel No Pain, and you move less, right? Yeah. I mean, once you're out of combat with the Death Company Dreadnought, you're moving 8. The Furioso is moving 6. Yes, I guess on the Furioso, you have OC built in by default, but I think the point of that Dreadnought is to kill shit, not OC objectives, maybe. DTM says Sangre Guard will definitely get a points drop. There's no way GW even noticed that issue. Yeah. Seasons of the Reapers is coming, says Jim. Yeah, I doubt it, Jim. I mean, I'd be willing to... I'd be willing to bet my new assassin model that the Reavers aren't going to be competitive. Reavers need more than points drops. Like, I don't think there's any point value. 85 is insanity, but I don't think there's any points value here that can make these guys good, because they even have the Bolt Carbine, which is basically like 2 shots, no AP. Or they have a pistol, which is 1 shot, -1, and a knife that gets precision and 1 extra attack. Like, whoop-de-doo. Like, the knife's no AP. So, let's assume that for some miracle, you hit with all 20 attacks with their knives, and you wound with all 20 attacks with their knives on an enemy character. Character's probably going to have like a 2-up save. So you're probably going to, like, in a miracle environment where you roll 26s for the wound rolls or something like that, they're going to take like 2 damage. I mean, I've seen it when like people have to take like 15 2-up saves where they don't fail any of them. So I just don't understand why these guys, like, why they exist, really. And it's not like they're crappy little knives. If you look at the model, they're quite significant knives. I think these knives need to be 1 AP, and I think chain swords need to move to 2 AP or something. I don't know. We're getting a Reaver Chapter Master from some far-off chapter that takes 1 CP from the enemy. I mean, okay, if Reavers could steal CP from the enemy, yeah, then they would be great. Reavers should have been the models for scouts. I mean, maybe you just use your Reavers as scouts. Oh well, I guess they're on the wrong size bases. Yeah, I'm really sad about Reavers. I really thought they were. I suppose with a Reaver leader, they could be given Lance, right? I mean, you could. In Gladius, you could pay 1 CP to give them +1 to wound Lance, an additional point of AP if you're in the Salt Doctrine, sure, but even then, it's just like, I don't I'm so sad about the Reavers. They're the coolest kit. Yeah, I mean, there you go, you can take them with the Reaver Lieutenant, and you can give them lethal hits. But they just make no sense. Maybe there'll be a codex in a chapter that lets you do something, and there'll be a relic that only improves Reavers or something, or a melee detachment all about Phobos. But the detachments they've released so far for Phobos, because they released a detachment last edition for Phobos. I forget what it's called, and probably One person in the chat will remember what it's called. Most of everybody else will have forgotten because it was that bad. It was like a detachment where you could only field Phobos units in tactical war suits. Phobos Detachment 9th edition. Was this it? No, I don't think this was it. No, they released a detachment. It was near the start of 9th edition. I think that was it. Was it not the Vanguard Spearhead? Was that what it was called in 9th? The same name as the Vanguard detachment from 10th. I think that's maybe what it was called. But yeah, it was around Warzone Nachmund, and like I feel like nobody used it. I mean, people looked at it for like a minute and went, "Yeah, that's not a good detachment." And that's why I think some of these detachments need to be shared in advance of them printing them in the codex, because like people looked at the first company detachment and just went, "Yeah, that's not a good detachment. No one runs it." I hope that doesn't happen when we get to the Blood Angels, where we go like, well, we've got like a bunch of crappy detachments. I guess we're going to see, because apparently Dark Angels are going up for pre-order. Is it next weekend? And then they'll be getting their codex, and then we'll be able to see actually how many detachments each Space Marine chapter is getting. Yeah, so Killer, interesting list. Sons of Sanguinius lists at the moment are super low win rate. We know that. My thought with this list would be get the Death Company Dreadnought in there as soon as Sanguinary Guard go down 15 points. That gives you the 15 points for the Death Company Dreadnought. I think that's a better choice. The rest of it seems fine, seems fun. I think you're not going to want me to say this, but I think taking a Storm Raven gunship with a Dreadnought and another squad inside of it is kind of quirky. Like, it's like if you're going to take this to a tournament, I wouldn't expect to go better than like 3 wins, 2 losses, because you'll get some matchups where the opponent just down your Storm Raven before you get it to where it needs to be and before you can get all the shit outside of it. But if you're okay with that, then it'll be a fun list to play, right? It's just, I feel like it's unlikely to win an event. Should you drop the Librarian Dreadnought? I think he's a great unit. I think with sticky objectives from the Intercessors, I wouldn't drop him. I think he's one of the best units we've got. I think he's a hard unit to play, though, right? Because like you have to keep him obscured for 2 or 3 turns so he can get those teleports off, which means he doesn't get to do a lot for 2 or 3 turns. And then because he's so slow, it's actually kind of hard to do a lot with him in the remaining turns beyond that. So he's super strong. He will score points for you, but he is kind of hard to play. So just keep that in mind. I mean, when his Focus Witchfire hits, my god, does it hit, right? Like, you can get like 4 9 damage attacks out of it. It's crazy. And he's arguably like a crazy damage dealer. He just doesn't get to be in great places to do damage. So, it is what it is. Because I see him as a really good damage dealer, but quite often in games, it's like you get to the end of the game and he didn't do very much damage. Yeah, so that's it. We have 4 lists. That was them this week. I'm going to have to put together a new list. I'm also going to have to put together a tactics video before they change the points cost next week or the week after. Can you bring something in from reserve then teleport it? Yeah. Because it happens at the end of the movement phase. So units come in from reserve at the end of the movement phase as well. So arguably you can choose which order that happens in, right? I mean, you could have him come in at the end of like He can do a teleport in turn 1, but you could give up the ability to teleport in turn 1 and bring him in from strategic reserve in turn 2. Try and teleport something in turn 2 and then try and make a charge with him, because his melee is very good. 5 attacks, strength 12 minus 3 damage, and then that 1 extra attack at d6 plus 3 on strength 9. Yeah. So he is very good. Lots of I'm sure I've already done a video on Rapid Ingress. Fundamentals video, interesting. Well, I'll be getting out my video about playing 270 Guardsmen tomorrow. That's my plan. I'll get that out tomorrow night. Maybe a bit of a fundamentals video this week is not a bad idea. As soon as the new balance data slate comes out, I'll try and live stream / do a video about that. As soon as we get all the new points costs, I'll probably try and do some competitive army list videos about that as well. I'm going to play Chaos Knights on Wednesday night, so I'll see you guys live on Wednesday night if you want to come out and hang out then. And I'm going to go and spend an hour or two with my wife before bed. So you guys have a great evening. Thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you Wednesday night for hopefully... It'll be a tough game against Chaos Knights, actually, because Andrew's bringing like 11 Chaos Knights. Having played against 11 Chaos Knights, you definitely will feel... You know, like in my last game against Chaos Knights, I had 6 Eradicators, and Eradicators helped a ton against Chaos Knights. But Eradicators are very one-dimensional, and they help a ton against Chaos Knights, but I had to drop them from my list because I didn't feel like they were versatile enough to help against other things. So, yeah, I'm gonna make a tweak to my list this week. I haven't decided what I'm tweaking, but I think the Repulsor Executioner's on the cutting blocks. I'm going to replace it with something. Something. So, I'll see you guys on Wednesday night. Have a great evening. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for the likes. Thanks for the memberships. By the blood are we made strong, brothers. Thank you so much for hanging out. Peace.